guys, my name is Tamar Meisels, and today I wanted to show you how to make challah for Shabbat without a hand mixer. Now, challah is something that we eat every Shabbos with our families, and it's a very, very special part of our Shabbos. And homemade is just great, and I want to share with you how I make my challah and a few tricks and tips that I've learned over the years. So I'm just going to show you the ingredients, and then I'll zoom in on what we're doing. So I add a kilo. I'll link the recipe down below so you can see exactly. Even though I make this almost every other week and then I freeze some, I still always use a recipe. So I'm going to link the recipe down below, and I always follow a recipe. So I add 1 kilo of flour. Now, very important to leave some of the flour for the end, okay? Because it's always better to add more flour than to add more water. And you don't know how much exact flour and water you're going to need. So I add the flour and I leave about half a cup or a cup of flour to be added soon. I add 1¾ almost 2 cups of water. It's better to use water that's a little bit warm to help the yeast. So that's 1 3/4. 2 tablespoons of yeast. I like to use yeast from the freezer that we freeze, and that way it keeps very well and it's very easy to use. So we add 2 tablespoons of yeast. 1, 2. I add 1 tablespoon of salt. Now, some people say you add salt at the end, but I find that if I add salt at the end, sometimes one time or 2 times even, I forgot to add salt. So I just prefer to do it. I never found any slowing of the yeast or anything. I just add it in with everything else. Half a cup of sugar. Now, I like to use half a cup of sugar and then to add a little bit of honey just to give it a little bit of a different taste. So that's half a cup of sugar. I just add a little bit of honey for extra sweetness and a little bit of a different flavor. So I'm going to add a little bit of honey. Okay, so I added a little bit of honey. And that way the challah isn't too sweet, because you don't want your challah to taste too much like a cake. Again, you could always play around if you like it sweeter or less sweet. We add 2 eggs. 2 eggs, and remember, you're going to want an extra egg later for when you coat the challah. So make sure you have enough eggs in the house. So that's the eggs. And half a cup of oil. See, I make this all the time, and I still like to look at a recipe. So that's half a cup of oil. Half a cup of oil. That's it. So I'm going to close up, and I'm going to show you how I do this. Okay, so I put in all the ingredients. You see, this is how it looks. And I kept some of the flour aside just in case it needs extra flour. I kept out about a half a cup. I'm using 80% wheat flour. You can mix white flour, whole wheat flour. You could use it interchangeably almost. I usually like to add about half whole wheat and half regular. Now, the tip number 1 is very, very important to knead the dough for 10 full minutes. This is the most important tip. So 10 full minutes, and put your timer on, no less than 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to see you in 10 minutes. Is actually ready. It took more like 2.5 hours, and I think because it's mostly whole wheat, 80% whole wheat, so it takes a little bit longer. I'm going to put it in the fridge right now because I have to go pick up my kids from kindergarten, and I'll continue it later at night when they're asleep. My kids went to sleep, and this is my challah dough. Because it's whole wheat, it's a little bit less risen, but I see that the dough is very nice to work with. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna start shaping the dough. Okay, so I'm gonna show you two shapes that I make. Usually 1 kilo of dough comes out to about 6 nice size challah rolls. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it up into half. This one I'm gonna make into 3 regular braids, which is what I like to make. So I'm gonna show you how to make a regular braid. So I shaped 3 rolls and 4 braids, and I covered it with some wrap, and I'm just gonna let it sit like this for about an hour. Because it's nighttime and it's whole wheat, I'm gonna let it sit maybe for over an hour. So I'll see you in 1 hour. It is about an hour and a half. And like you see, we want it to rise up slowly. If it doesn't rise at all, it means that it's a little bit too late. If it rises too quickly, then it means that there's still more time. Usually I add, I like the yolks a little bit better than the whites. So let me add an extra egg, and I'll add just the yolk. The yolk gives it that special brown color. I mix it up pretty well. Got to open the sesame. We are going to add some yolk, so I'm going to go like that. Now this is going into the oven for about 15 minutes. Now you have to check your oven. Start with 15 minutes and see how they look. We will be back in 15 minutes. Okay, so as soon as they came out, they were in the oven for 15 minutes each. Again, you have to check your oven. I immediately covered them with a towel to keep up the moistness. So this is how it came out. This is one of them. And the other one. So I'm pretty happy with the results. Again, it's not going to be like white flour, but it looks amazing. So I'm going to keep them covered a little bit more. And when they cool off, I'm going to put them in the freezer. That's another tip. If you want to eat it the next day, it always pays to freeze it and then heat it up before. So thanks for being with me, and see you next time.